Hello, students. I hope you all had time to reflect and think deeply about the lessons we've been working on. Now, I don't know about you, but I take a lot of notes, and if there's one thing that you can count on is that those notes come from experience. Experience meant to help you navigate the complex yet rewarding world of writing. So today, we're going to talk about two things. The first is the Kevin Hart video. Some of you did a pretty good job improving your drafts and grasping the essence of the story. But for others, well, you're still finding your way, and that's okay. The road to mastery isn't a straight line. Now, let me tell you something about storytelling. You see, when we talk about the inverted pyramid, we're talking about a tool, one that will help guide the readers through the most important aspects of your story. It's not a technique, it's a way of prioritizing what matters most. In this case, with Kevin Hart, was his journey, his rise from humble beginnings in stand up comedy to become a global sensation was the heart of the story. Some of you are still trying to tell the story strictly chronologically, but chronology has nothing to do with the inverted pyramid. Think of it this way: you've got only a few precious moments to grab the reader's attention. You don't ease them in. You dive straight into the deep end, and when you do, they're hooked. They're invested. They want more. Hart's story was more than a timeline. It was about capturing attention from the first sentence. Sure, there were his early struggles, but also his success, his drive, and his balance between work and family. You see, that's what kept the audience interested. It wasn't about the when, it was about the why. Why should anyone care? And that's your job to make them care. Now, as we move forward, some of you are still making some of the same mistakes. I hope you're paying attention to the notes on your drafts. Every mark, every comment is a chance to improve. I'm not putting time into those critiques just for the sake of it. Uh, they're there to help see. Excuse me. They're there to help you see what can be fixed, where the errors are, and how you can do better next time. And some of you, you know who you are, took those comments, ran with them, and did better. And for that, I thank you. You've earned the grades you received. But, and there's always a but, isn't there? There, things are going to get tougher from here on out. Now, we've got to talk about the TEDx talk. Now, I know some of you left out key details like Lovey Ajay Jones gave the talk, Ole Miss, the Ford Center. Locations matter, especially when you're writing for a specific audience, a specific community. It's what makes the story relevant. You can't just leave that out. You see, TED Talks and TEDx Talks, there's a difference. And it's your responsibility to know the difference, to understand why it matters. I told you to Google it, didn't I? Well, there's still time. TEDx is local. TED is global. And that matters to your audience. People who want to know what's happening close to home. Now, Jones spoke about fear, her fear of being disliked, fear of criticism, but more importantly, she talked about confronting those fears and pushing through them in pursuit of truth and justice. And that's a story worth telling. But for the people in this town, the biggest takeaway wasn't that what she said, it was where she said it. And that, my friends, is the news. That's the lead. I see some of you using too many words, too much fluff. Remember, concise writing isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Every word should matter. You have to trim the fat and keep the meat. It's not about how much you say, it's about what you say and how effectively you say it. Speaking of tools, I use a program called Grammarly. Now, I use the premium version, but there is a free one out there. It helps catch those little mistakes, the passive voice, the clunky paragraphs. If you find something else that works better for you, by all means use it. but you got to be proactive about fixing these things. Now, on punctuation, I've been lenient so far. I haven't yet marked you down a lot for all the comma splices and those missing periods. But that's going to change, especially when it comes to AP style. You've got to use excuse me, you've got the book, use it. Numbers, ages, those little details, they matter. Those are the easy points, the points you don't want to lose over something as simple as style. Let's let's talk for a moment, let's talk for a moment about how to write. I see phrases like due to the fact, and I have to ask you, when was the last time you spoke like that in a conversation? If a friend asked you why you missed class, you wouldn't say, well, due to the fact that my car broke down. No, you'd say, my car broke down. Keep it simple, keep it human. Write how you speak because when you write for your audience, that's what they understand. Most of the people reading what you write, they didn't go to college. Now, that doesn't mean they're any less intelligent. But it does mean you got to be clear. You got to be straightforward. Tell them what happened. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. I still see a lot of people writing in wrong tense. Most of what you're writing about isn't always happened. If Anderson Cooper interviewed Kevin Hart, don't say Anderson talks. He talked. It's all in past tense. He did the interview. It was in the past. Once you introduce someone into your story like Anderson Cooper or Stephen Colbert, you don't need to keep repeating their full name. We already know who they are. And after the first mention, you just use their last name. It's cleaner, it's more professional, and it's what you need to do. Unless we're talking about someone like J Lo or Madonna, icons, names everyone knows. In those cases, you use what works. Punctuation is going to keep is going to be the key moving forward. Lazy punctuation is not acceptable. And from here on out, I'm tightening things up. I've already raised the stakes of your Kevin Hart assignment from 30 points and the next ones to 30 points. And the next ones, they're going to be worth 60 points. So you've got to start paying attention to the details, to every period, every comma, because I am. Now, I know a lot of I know a lot, excuse me. Now I know this is a lot of information, but we're past the halfway point and mistakes are going to keep going up. You've got multiple opportunities to earn those grades. Two assignments, each worth 60 points. You've got a lot writing on these, so I need you to focus. As we move forward, remember that life, like writing, is full of trial and error. You're going to make mistakes, and that's okay because that's how we learn. Each new era brings us closer to mastering the craft. Excuse me. You fix the old ones, you find new ones, and you keep moving forward. Now let's talk about Unit 5. There should be a total of 4 assignments due by the end of the second week. You've already covered parts of the chapter 4 and 5, but you'll combine you'll combine them the rest of the week. This unit is also about direct quotes. Until now, I've told you to leave them out, but now it's time to add them. Direct quotes bring life to your story. They give it color. They give it a voice. But you've got to know when to use them. Not every sentence needs to be a direct quote. Some things, facts, numbers, are better paraphrased. But opinion, perspectives, that's where the direct quotes shine. And as you write, ask yourself, does this quote add to the story? Is it meaningful? Is it relevant? Pick the best ones, the ones that mattered most. And when you do, remember to format them correctly. Each direct quote should have its own paragraph and its own space. No partial quotes buried in the middle of sentences. Your writing assignments are coming up, and each one is going to require you to add 3 direct quotes. Whether you're working on Kevin Hart's story or the TEDx talk, you'll need to integrate those quotes seamlessly while maintaining the integrity of your story. As we wrap up, remember this. You have the tools, you have the knowledge, and I'm here to guide you. But the effort, that's yours. So put your best foot forward, make the most of the next assignments, and learn from the mistakes you made in the past. As always, I'm here if you need me. Just send me an email. Have a wonderful rest of your week and hotty toddy.